mechanisms. Unit 1, Lesson 6. Guiding questions. How do animals' bodies and behaviors help them survive? How can a writer use knowledge from their research to inform and entertain? I can identify details that support the main idea of a section of animal behaviors, animal defenses. I can paraphrase and take notes on information presented by my peers in jigsaw groups. Today we're going to be building off the work that we began in Lesson 5. We're going to be looking at the same sections of text from our animal behavior book. And now that we have our main ideas figured out, we're going to look for details that support those main ideas. Be sure you have some post-it notes for this lesson so that you can find the supporting details in the text. Pause the video now if you need more time to locate these materials. Before we start identifying supporting details, we must go back and look at the main idea that we identified for this section. We said that animals use many behaviors to help them defend themselves from predators. As we reread the text, you'll notice that I'll be underlining pieces that I think support this main idea, and I'll be putting those on a post-it note in the text. You can be doing that with me as I do it. You may need to pause the video to make the notes on your post-it note, but you can do that at any time. Chapter 1, page 7. Avoiding danger. A cheetah skulks through the tall grass of the African savanna. Head lowered, she stares intently at a herd of gazelles. Her spotted coat blends in with the dry grass, making her nearly invisible as she sneaks up on her prey. The gazelles continue to graze. Between bites of grass, each one snaps up its head to check out its surroundings. Bright eyes scan the horizon, ears swivel to pick up the slightest sound. Nostrils flare to sniff for the scent of a cheetah, lion, or other hungry predator. Suddenly, a few gazelles snort and stamp their feet. The entire herd goes on high alert. The black bands that run down the gazelle's sides quiver, passing along the message, "Danger!" Then some of the gazelles begin bouncing as if on pogo sticks. They spring high in the air with their backs arched and legs stiff. They land on all fours and then leap again. The cheetah pauses. The gazelles have seen her. It is impossible to launch a surprise attack now. The cheetah depends on one short-lived, startling burst of speed to chase down a gazelle. The gazelles, however, also run fast, hitting speeds of up to 40 miles an hour, and they can keep up this speed much longer than a cheetah can. Their odd jumping behavior, called stodding, signals to the cheetah, "We have seen you, so do not bother to chase us. We are strong and healthy and can outrun you." I'm going to pause here, and I'm going to look back at paragraph 3. In this paragraph, it's telling me about some different behaviors that the springbok gazelle uses to help them defend themselves. First, the black bands on the side of the gazelle's side quiver, and that sends the message of danger, so I'm going to underline that. Then I see that they spring up high in the air with their backs arched and legs stiff. They land on all fours and then they leap again, so I'm going to underline that detail as well. Then I'm going to paraphrase it and put it onto a post-it note and stick it onto my page. So for the first detail, I'm going to say that the black bands on the sides of the springbok shake and alert others to danger, and I'm going to put the page number. And then for the second detail, I'm going to say the gazelle jumps high up into the air to show its predator how strong it is, and that's on page 7. If the cheetah is lucky, perhaps she will find a gazelle fawn hidden in the grass. However, the fawns have tawny coats and can lie still as a stone for a long time. Plus, the fawns' mothers are careful not to give the cheetah any clues as to where their young are hiding. Like most wild animals, gazelles are always watching out for danger. Most often, that danger is another animal, in this case, a hungry cheetah. Even domestic animals, such as horses, sheep, and chickens, are on the alert for any threat to their safety. Being alert is the first step an animal takes to defend itself. It is one of many behaviors that animals use to survive in a world filled with predators. Much of an animal's self-defense behavior comes from within it. Most animals are born knowing how to defend themselves. Scientists call this inborn knowledge instinct. Okay, I'm going to pause here after finishing this first section and thinking about the main idea, all the behaviors animals use to defend themselves. I'm going to go back to this last little section that I just read and look for those behaviors. First of all, on page 8, I remember reading about the fawns. A behavior that they have is their ability to lie still as a stone for a long time. And then the fawns' mothers are so careful not to give any clues about where their fawns are hiding. And so I'm going to underline those details. I think that's really, really important to include. Then in the 6th paragraph, I learned that for any animal, it doesn't matter if it's springbok gazelle or any other animal, being alert is their first step to defending themselves. And I remember reading that at the beginning of this section where it talked about the gazelles watching everything carefully, like looking around, their heads snap up. So I'm going to underline that detail because that's a behavior that animals use to defend themselves. Then in the last paragraph, it talks a little bit more about that self-defense of instinct, so animals being born knowing how to defend themselves. I'm going to underline that part as well. Now I'm going to add 3 post-it notes to this section. I'm going to paraphrase what I've underlined and then post that in my book. I'm going to write that fawns are protected by their ability to stay super still. And their moms are careful to keep them hidden too. So that's just putting it in my own words on page 8. Then on page 9, for the being alert is the first step. I'm going to write down that paying attention and looking for danger is an animal's first defense. Page 9. I'm going to write that down and include that in my book. And then finally, the part about them knowing how to defend themselves, I'm going to write down that animals are born with an instinct to protect themselves. So those are the 3 post-it notes I'm adding to my book. Pause the video now so that you may do that as well. I'm going to continue reading this section, remembering that my main idea is animals use many behaviors to help them defend themselves from predators. Page 21, the last 2 paragraphs. Hiding, camouflage, and masking help animals avoid predators. Animals' behaviors and bodies have changed over millions of years in ways that help them survive. Scientists call these changes adaptations. The process of change over time is called evolution. Predators have also evolved so that they could keep finding prey. When they do, the prey must turn to another form of self-defense. After rereading the information on page 21, I see that hiding, camouflage, and masking helps animals avoid predators. That directly supports my main idea of behaviors that help an animal defend themselves. So I'm going to underline that now. To paraphrase this statement that I've underlined, I'm going to rearrange the order of the words a little bit and put it in my own words. I'm going to say animals use camouflage to hide or mask themselves to stay safe. I'm going to add that to my post-it and put my post-it in my book. Chapter 2, page 22. Escape artists. Hiding, standing still, and camouflage help many animals avoid predators. But these defenses do not work all the time. Predators may find hiding places, stumble over prey lying stock still, or discover that a leaf is actually an insect in disguise. Prey animals need a second line of defense. For many animals, this defense is escape. Escape often means fleeing as quickly as possible. Escape may also involve behaviors that buy an animal a few extra seconds to get away. This could be startling a predator or distracting it. Some animals go so far as to actually lose body parts to aid in their escape. A few appear to give up by playing dead. After rereading the first section on page 22, I read that sometimes an animal's defense mechanism fails, but they still have the option to try to escape. And so I'm going to underline that part of the text. For many animals, the defense is escape. To paraphrase this, I'm going to say, if their first defense fails, animals will try to escape. And I'm going to put page 22 on that post-it note and put that in my book. Now, when it comes to filling out my chart, I can just take my post-it notes and I can go ahead and stick them right in my purple workbook. I had no need to rewrite them. Just go ahead and put those in your purple workbook in the section that's supporting details. If you did not have post-it notes, or if you didn't get this all done, you can go ahead and write these details into your purple workbook. Either way, pause the video now to make sure this section is complete before you move on. Okay, now it's your turn to try to identify some supporting details. I will reread the text, and you can pause the video at any time to write down on a post-it note details that you think support this main idea that some animals protect themselves by injecting venom into their enemy. At the end, I will reveal the details that I think you should have included, and then you can adjust accordingly. Chapter 5, page 73. Venomous stings and bites. Venom is a poison made by an animal's body and injected into another animal. A venomous animal has a sting, spines, or specialized teeth attached to venom-making glands. A poisonous animal, on the other hand, must usually be touched or eaten by another animal for the poison to work. A poisonous animal often has a bad taste, foul smell, or bright color pattern warning that it is dangerous to eat. Some venomous animals use venom to catch their own prey. They subdue or kill their prey by biting or stinging it. Snakes, wasps, and spiders are examples of animals that catch prey in this way. On the other hand, honeybees do not. They use their venom only for defense. Like poisonous animals, some venomous animals exhibit warning colors. Many venomous animals, however, are camouflaged. This helps them sneak up on prey. Many animals' venom is strong enough only to harm or kill its smaller prey. But some venom can harm or even kill much larger animals too. Some of the world's stinging animals have this powerful venom. Take a moment to pause the video, look back at the section that was just read and see if there are any details that you need to pull out as supporting details for your main idea. How Venom Works, page 76. An animal's venom is made up of many substances. The mixture of substances is different for each venomous species, though different mixtures include some of the same poisonous substances. Different venoms affect the body in different ways. Some venoms affect the brain and the nerves. This kind of venom is called a neurotoxin. A neurotoxin may make muscles cramp or twitch. It may also paralyze muscles, which can make an animal stop breathing and lead to heart failure. Other venoms harm the blood. They're called hemotoxins. A hemotoxin may cause bleeding inside the body, or it can make the blood clot too quickly or too slowly. Venoms can cause swelling, severe rashes, and other reactions. Take a moment to pause the video, look back at the section that was just read, and see if there are any details that you need to pull out as supporting details for your main idea. The body of a venomous animal uses energy to make venom. This is why venomous animals prefer to hide or flee from danger. An animal that makes venom for killing prey would rather save its venom for hunting and not waste it on an animal it cannot eat. Even an animal that makes venom only for self-defense is usually slow to use it. It is more likely to hide, flee, or warn a predator to stay away. Scientists have developed substances that can stop venoms from damaging the body. These substances are called antivenoms. Antivenoms exist for many, but not all venoms. They have saved many lives. Venoms are actually used in making the antivenoms. Scientists are also researching venoms to find substances that can be used to make medicines. The venom of the cone snail, for example, has yielded a drug that is used as a painkiller. Take a moment to pause the video, look back at the section that was just read, and see if there are any details that you need to pull out as supporting details for your main idea. Stinging tentacles, page 77. A group of ocean animals called Cnidarians also use stings for predation and self-defense. This group includes corals, jellyfish, and anemones. Most are harmless to humans or cause little more than a rash. Some Cnidarians, however, contain venom strong enough to sicken or kill a human. The box jelly, also called a sea wasp, is among the most deadly. It lives off the coast of Australia. Its venom causes extreme pain, and a bad sting can kill a human in less than 5 minutes. Take a moment to pause the video, look back at the section that was just read, and see if there are any details that you need to pull out as supporting details for your main idea. Cnidarians Stingers are also called nematocysts. They are located on the animal's tentacles. Hundreds or even thousands of nematocysts can be found on one tentacle, depending on the species. A box jelly's tentacle, which can be 9 feet long, contains millions of nematocysts. There are 3 kinds of nematocysts. One kind makes a gluey substance that sticks to prey. A second kind shoots out threads that loop around prey like coils of rope. The third kind is venomous and works like a miniature harpoon. An animal may have 1 or more kinds depending on its species. Take a moment to pause the video, look back at the section that was just read, and see if there are any details that you need to pull out as supporting details for your main idea. When an animal, either predator or prey, comes in contact with a tentacle with venomous nematocysts, The nematocysts launch their harpoons. Out shoots a tiny barb attached to a twisted thread. The barb jabs the animal's body. The thread untwists, pushing the barb into the skin. Venom flows through the thread and into the animal. Take a moment to pause the video, look back at the section that was just read, and see if there are any details that you need to pull out as supporting details for your main idea. The venom paralyzes or kills prey so that the Cnidarian can drag it to its mouth and eat it. Cnidarians eat a variety of prey depending on their size. Anemones look like plants rooted in sand and mud or on rocks and coral reefs. However, they are animals, and they feed on fish, crabs, and shrimp. Coral polyps, which make up coral reefs, feed on tiny animals called zooplankton that drift in the water. Many jellyfish feed on fish and shrimp. Take a moment to pause the video, look back at the section that was just read, and see if there are any details that you need to pull out as supporting details for your main idea. Now that you've had the opportunity to reread the text and identify some supporting details that you think might be important for this main idea, that some animals protect themselves by injecting venom into their enemy, now we're just going to double check. So I'll be going through the details that I think you should have included, and you can compare them with the details that you pulled out, and then you can adjust accordingly if you feel like they need to. If you feel like you did a great job, then that's excellent. We'll just continue on. In paragraph 1, I saw that a venomous animal has a sting, spines, or specialized teeth attached to venom-making glands. So I'm going to underline that in the text. Remember, you can't underline it, but you can record this information on a Post-it note. For the Post-it note, I would paraphrase it, putting it in my own words. I would say, venomous animals use stings, spines, or teeth to inject their venom, and that is found on page 73. Moving on to paragraph 2, I see the author tells us that some venomous animals use venom to catch their own prey. So not just for self-defense, but actually to help them survive and eat, they need to use their venom. So I'm going to underline that. And then on my Post-it note, I'm going to write, venom can be used to help animals catch their prey. And that is found on page 73. So I'm going to record that information now. In paragraph 3, I read that, like poisonous animals, some venomous animals exhibit warning colors. I'm going to underline that in the text, and on my Post-it note, I will paraphrase and I'll say, some venomous animals also have warning colors, found on page 73. And in the same paragraph right after it, I see that it says, many venomous animals, however, are camouflaged. This helps them sneak up on their prey. And so while some animals have warning colors, other animals blend in to help them catch their prey. So that's what I'm going to put on my Post-it note. Then on page 76, in the text box that says how venom works, I found out that the body of a venomous animal uses energy to make venom, and an animal that makes venom for killing prey would rather save its venom for hunting and not waste it. Even an animal that makes venom only for self-defense is usually slow to use it. And I found that was really, really interesting, looking at our main idea that they protect themselves by injecting venom, but that they'd rather not do that. So I'm going to paraphrase that information by saying venomous animals don't really want to use their venom if they don't have to. Pause the video now to give yourself some time to record any new information that you need to on your Post-it notes or add any supporting details that you may have missed. Then in the last section, which was all about stinging tentacles, I found out that the sea wasp has tentacles, and on those tentacles there are harpoons that help inject poison into their enemies. So I found that information in the fourth paragraph, underline that, and then what I paraphrased is there on my post-it note. The sea wasp tentacles have harpoons that help inject their poison into their enemies, found on page 77. Pause the video as needed in order to record this information on your post-it notes. Now that we've identified all of those supporting details, we can go ahead and gather our post-it notes onto our chart in our purple workbook. You can rewrite them, but if it's already written on your post-it note, there's no need. You can just go ahead and stick those right in your purple workbook in this space. Do that now. Now, you were part of a group that read about the venomous animals and recorded the main idea and supporting details for that section. Other groups actually read different sections, found the main idea and supporting details for those different sections. So what follows here are the other sections, the other information that you need to know about these animals. But what you can do is copy this down into your purple workbook. So for this page and for the next slide, you'll want to pause the video and record this information in your purple workbook in the correct boxes on your page. So you want to have these notes ready and available for your science talk as well as a future test that you will take. So go ahead and take the time now to pause the video and record all the information you find in this page. Same with this page. Go ahead and pause the video now in order to record all the details in your purple workbook. End of lesson 6.